What is a mental disorder? What do you think of when someone suffers from a psychological disorder? Sadness, pity, anger, fear? What is mental illness? How does one suffer from a mental illness? Should I be worried about people who suffer from some kind of mental disorder? Mental illness can be defined as a legal concept, usually meaning severe emotional or thought disturbances that negatively affect an individual's health and safety. Where a psychological disorder or a mental disorder can be defined as a psychological dysfunction associated with distress or impairment in functioning that is not a typical or culturally expected response. Why are psychological disorders so villainized? For one, there's the media and the worst case scenarios. The news likes to sensationalize a crime, especially when a mental disorder is involved. And then the common people see the cases, believe them to be the norm, and see mental illness as something to be scared of, something to ignore, or sometimes something to disregard. But that's the thing, it's not something that can be controlled on one's own. It's the chemicals in the brain that don't always work correctly, whether it be because of an outside source, i.e. drugs or alcohol, or one is simply born with their mind wired in a different way. For them, they need help, and they need someone to listen to them and to adapt, to be an active listener, to learn about what they suffer from, and to find a way to work around their mental disorder. An example that hits home in particular is gender dysphoria. This has become more and more of an important topic as time goes on because of the amount of discrimination that people of all ages receive, especially when it comes to children. For whatever reason, a kid will just know who they are is who they are, no matter what their sex is. And trying to fit into their sex expectations and to be called what they are not hurts them emotionally and mentally. It can lead to other mental disorders, such as depression, anxiety, and if they live to be an adult, it's possible 92% of transgender kids will have attempted suicide by the age of 25. The point mostly being, though, is that they are someone else, and trying to force them into another role will not work and will just cause further harm. Another misconception is that if one allows a child to begin transitioning, there is no turning back, but that is absolutely not true. One doesn't have to go with a sex change operation right away, nor do they need to start on hormone therapy. They can simply take puberty blockers to give themselves time in order to fully come to terms with who they are and find out what they need. From what is understood by a lot of trans people who transition later in life, one of their biggest traumas was that their puberty did not match what they identify as. Psychopathology has come a long way in even just 100 years. We went from committing a wife who disagrees with her husband and saying she has hysteria, to finding treatment that is safe and helps the patient work through their problems. It's not perfect yet, and even in the last few years we've gotten even better at simply talking about mental health. There are a few things that seem to tie everything together in order to heal: support, understanding, and a want to get better. Most treatments, and for the most part mental health entirely, requires people around them to listen, to love, and to work with the other to help them through their darkest times. The person themselves could be strong in so many ways, but if they fall and they don't have someone or something to fall back on, they fall all the way back down, and it's so hard to get back up after that. Understanding is required because of the many misconceptions about mental illness. It's criminalized, and it's almost taboo to talk about extensively. But spending time learning and teaching what one is actually suffering from, or what symptoms a person would suffer from and how severe, one learns to not have preconceived notions of a crazy person. And then there's the person themselves, and it's hard. It's so very hard to work towards getting better, and it's so much easier to slip back into old habits. It's hard to see things in a brighter light and to focus on the end of the tunnel, but there's only so much others can do. One has to at least try to get better, to want to get better, to take what is said to them and apply it when they can. It doesn't have to be right away, but it does have to happen, even when it's hard to see any color in the world. There's so many things I want to say and so many other things that are left to be said, but I wanted to leave this off with a question. If a quarter of the world suffers from a mental disorder, are mental disorders really so abnormal?